And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Miriam Guerra Allstate Insurance post-game show here at Bobby Lackey Stadium, where it was a disappointing loss for the Weslaco Wildcats as they lose in this one by a final score of 28-14. Let's go to the highlights because it started off with McAllen Memorial getting on the board first, and they came out with the passing game. And back to pass here, and the great catch here by Josh Sanchez. He continues to move down the field, break away from not only two but three tacklers, and is able to go in for the score to make it 7-0. McAllen Memorial with the lead there. They continued again. This is Ethan Bassan, 42 yards in for the touchdown, and that made it 14-0. Weslaco playing from behind there. Roy Pedraza in for the score, makes it 14-7, the 6-yard run right there. But then Memorial again, they go to the passing game. And it's Bassan one more time, another 40-plus yarder, touchdown, 21-7 at the half. Weslaco scores again right here. Great run by Pedraza to find the end zone to make it 21-14. And the final in this one, 28-14. Memorial scored one more time. The big story in this one, 6 turnovers for the Weslaco Wildcats, 4 fumbles and 2 interceptions. Whenever that happens, it's very, very difficult to win a football game. 6 turnovers, Mike, the big difference in this contest.
That's the difference in the game, Carlos, the 6 turnovers. I mean, you know, when you lose the ball 6 times, normally it's a blowout. But this was a 28-14, so that shows, you know, had the Wildcats been able to take care of the football, they were moving the ball pretty well. Roy Pedraza with another solid night tonight. I think their chances would have been better. And I mean, junior quarterback from McAllen Memorial, Sean Scoggin, with 4 touchdown passes. You know, a lot of those were just lobs, and the receivers for McAllen Memorial receivers just did a great job of catching it. Some missed tackles also happened on some of those receptions, so that also hurt. I don't know if the rain had anything to do with it as far as the wet ball is concerned, but regardless, Memorial did a better job protecting the football, and the Wildcats had 6 turnovers.
Yeah, Memorial was able to protect the ball. Weslaco having problems holding on to the rock. In fact, 2 of those fumbles came in the red zone. And whenever that happens, it was an opportunity for Weslaco to score. And even towards the end, it was the 4th quarter, there were still 4 minutes, about 3 minutes and 55 seconds. They were down by those 2 scores. It looked like an opportunity that Weslaco, they had some momentum, they were going, and that's when they had one of their fumbles inside the 20-yard line. And that's what happened in this contest. We have Coach Burgett up here. Coach, you know, no one wants to talk about the number one being a curse or anything like that, but when you have 6 turnovers like that, which is very unlike the Weslaco Wildcats, it's very tough to come up with a victory.
Maybe we got them all out of our way before district. I don't know what happened tonight. I mean, the kids, they got a rude awakening. You know, everybody thought we was a really good team, and I think we are. We just had one of those nights where our big 3 had 6 turnovers. I mean, anytime they have 6 turnovers, it's hard to win a game. Harlingen said that the other night when they lost to Mission Vets. You know, we lost to a good ball club tonight. My hat's off. They caused 6 turnovers, and I'm pretty sure we'll be ready next week.
Hey, Coach, your offensive line is really young, and I noticed that McAllen Memorial really loaded the box, making it a little bit more difficult for you guys to run the football. Well, do you agree with that, you think?
No, I absolutely don't agree with that. I'm going to tell you, I thought our offensive line was one of the bright spots tonight. I just think our seniors had a bad night, put the ball on the ground. You know, I've never seen J.C. Roy and Rich turn the ball over like that, but, you know, it happens, you know, on any given night. So, you know, it's a rude awakening, but those guys know now they got to squeeze the ball a little bit, work a little bit harder in practice, and we'll be okay.
And McAllen Memorial, they're actually, you know, they came in here as one of the top teams in the Rio Grande Valley as well, but you were able, on the bright side, to contain the running game a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen our defense play a lot better. We had a hard time wrapping up today. I don't understand. We do a pretty good job of hitting and wrapping up and taking down. But, you know, we left them on the field a lot. Mostly with 6 turnovers, so they probably got a little bit tired. I've seen our defense play better. But you know what? You know, non-district game, we found out, you know, some stuff about some of our players tonight. And, you know, we've seen some good stuff. We've seen some bad stuff. We're going to watch film. We got 2-a-days starting again tomorrow. And we'll find out who shows up and who works hard.
The bright side, Coach, is you got Edinburgh County Meaties next week, so that's one more game before district starts. So, you know, would you agree with that a little bit, where hey, we can really redeem ourselves next week and get back on track and, carry that momentum into district play?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Any time you have a game after a game like this, you want to get back on the field. I wouldn't mind getting on the field tonight, but, the game's over. We got to rest a little bit, make sure we got a few banged up tonight, and I know they got a few banged up tonight. So we're going to take the weekend to try to rehab those guys, get them ready. But, Wesco East football, last year we went 2-1 in non-district, and I guess our goal now is to go 2-1 in non-district and hit the district, on the run and see what we can do in the district. We've got a tough district. San Benito's really good. Harlingen really good. Harlingen South's really good. Wesco's really good. Hannah's really good. So, it's going to be a toss-up in our district, but, we plan on playing every night as hard as we can.
Coach, it was down by 2 touchdowns there with about 4 minutes left in the game. Team was moving the ball nicely there. You had to feel comfortable, but once again, the ball came loose inside the 20-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the last 3 years I can count on one hand how many fumbles Roy had. So, that's just part of it. He runs hard. When you run hard, you're going to drop the ball. I was a little disappointed in JC tonight, but JC will bounce back. He's one of our best players, one of the best players that's ever played for the school. He just had one of those nights that he didn't look like he was, JC. I mean, I guess every player has that. I watched Brady the other night against my Kansas City Chiefs, and Chiefs just put it to him. So, I mean, everybody has bad nights. So, I'm going to pass it on as a bad night, try to get the guys ready for economies because, these guys come out and they practice hard and they play hard every time. And, we know what kind of players we got. We got some good players. We got some we got a great defense, and our offense is pretty good. It just didn't show tonight.
All right, Coach, we're going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, K-West.
All right, thank you very much, Coach. We have a couple of other scores to pass along. San Benito right now, the last score we got, they were leading San Antonio East Central 28-12 in the third quarter. That's the last score we got. And, of course, a couple other scores from 32-6A. Harlingen beat United South 21-6, the final score in that one. And PSGA, the Bears, they beat Harlingen South 31-24, so those are a couple of other scores. And then tomorrow, Weslaco High School will take on San Antonio Marshall. And keep in mind, like Coach Burgett said, these are still non-district games, so this is where, hey, you still need to figure a few things out. They had a couple of scrimmages. They had a tough opponent here tonight, and now is the time where you got to fix things as you go into next week and then district play in 2 more weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they look so flawless in the scrimmages, and then last week against Sherryland, perhaps this is the game where a little bit wake-up call a little bit. Now, okay, boom, season has started. Now they can maybe move forward. They've hopefully got the worst game out of the way and move on.
I like what he said. We're going to get those fumbles out of the way now, those turnovers out of the way, get them all in one game, and why not do it in a non-district contest? I do think that the defense, although they did 28 points, well, 3 of those touchdowns were passing, but that I thought playing against the run, they played very, very solid.
Well, they did. I thought like Mike Gonzalez, Freddy Cardenas did an outstanding job wrapping Campbell Spates. I think you can kind of tell that was the game plan to slow him down, and they did a pretty good job. So McCallum Memorial was forced to throw the football, and fortunately for them, they were able to execute it and made the Wildcats pay. But, yeah, I thought the Wildcats did a pretty good job tackling. And in a game like this, that's what you have to do is wrap your arms around the tacklers, and I thought they did that.
Yeah, Campbell Spates, very good runner, only a sophomore, going to be one of the top running backs in the Rio Grande Valley when it's all said and done. I think his longest run was maybe 15 yards, 12, 15 yards at the most. They really were able to contain him.
And I mean, that probably occurred in the fourth quarter, late in the game, when the game was kind of pretty much well in hand. But, yeah, I mean, they pretty much held him to 3-4 yards. And so, yeah, I mean, other than that, other than the 6 turnovers, I thought everything else was okay. They did pretty good.
And there's something about playing McCallum Memorial that always becomes a crazy game. And we were talking about this during the game. Yeah, last time they were down, it was 21-7 or 21. It was they were down by 13 points last year. And people were thinking, hey, this team can come back. And they did. They came back. They cut it to 7, but they weren't able to close the deal. It was Weslaco, and they end up losing by 2 touchdowns. But there's something about playing against McCallum Memorial where it's always a crazy game. Last year it went into overtime. This year it was the turnovers. And like Coach Burgett said, sometimes you just have those games where the ball is you're not holding on to the ball I don't want to say you're snake bit or anything like that, but it's just unexplainable because this does not happen, like he said, to the big three.
Yeah. I can't recall it happening. I mean, this is the nucleus that have been together for, 3 years at least. And, yeah, I can't recall a game like this where your three best players, make those kind of mistakes. Usually they're the ones that, set the tempo for the whole team. But it happens, Carlos. And, I mean, unfortunately, it happened tonight. But the good news is it's only a non-district game. You move forward. And, I mean, these guys have played varsity for, at least 3 years now. So they know what it takes to bounce back, and they've been there and done that.
Now, next week they're going to be taking on Edinburgh Economides as you get to take another look at some of the highlights right here. And, I was impressed with that they still came out with the passing game. In fact, they used the spread offense to open up some of those running lanes for Pedraza and for Ciro Rojas. There was a time where they spread them out. They had wide receivers on either side. They had twins on either side, and they ran the ball right up the middle to set up one of their scores.
And they even had 5 receivers, Carlos, in some of those plays. That's something that we haven't seen for Weslaco WEHS, at least rarely see, and they showed it quite a bit. And, they did a pretty good job using Roy Pedraza in the backfield, him catching some balls. Freddy Cárdenas had some catches back there, and, the blocks were there. And, Richard Lefevre, we see here running with the ball really hard, getting a first down. I mean, the Wildcats, it took them a little while to get going, but, I mean, they were able to move the football, but, again, they just weren't able to take care of the football.
Yeah, you lose the ball that many times, 6 times, you lose them. It was 3 times where they had 3 fumbles already, or 3 turnovers early on, and it was very hard for them to stay into the game. Add 3 more on top of that, and it just gets harder and harder. Moving on now to the next game, taking on Economides, the Jaguars. Last year they were riding high with Weslaco WEHS. They had just beaten Callum Memorial, and then they lost to Edinburgh Economides. So you got to believe. And Coach Burgett has told us privately, maybe, that he wants to go. He wants to avenge that loss from last year.
Well, yeah. I mean, as good as McCallum Memorial feels tonight because of the tough loss they had last year, well, the same thing can happen to the Wildcats. They can go into Edinburgh next week with an opportunity of get a big road win, close out non-district, go into that bye with a big-time W, and go 2-1, just like Coach Burgett said right now, carry that momentum into district play.
All right, still a lot of excitement for the Weslaco WEHS Wildcats, but they do come up with a loss tonight by a final score of 28-14. We will be back here tomorrow, right here live on K-West Facebook page, because tomorrow it will be Weslaco Panthers, their first game of the season. It'll be their week 1 or their first game, as they'll be taking on San Antonio Marshall. We'll have a pregame show at 12 noon and a postgame show after the game as well. We're going to wrap it up for right now. This was the Miriam Guerra Allstate Insurance postgame show. For Mike Gonzalez, I'm Carlos Robledo. We'll see you guys tomorrow at noon right here.